Now let's talk for a minute or two about how we stay smart and keep our finger to the pulse. You know, I know, like I said,
We
I've
do
seen
a
you.
lot of that.
I've seen what you do, but for our listeners at home, maybe talk a little bit about what your annual and maybe even quarterly current events focus looks like.
So we have multi places we have to keep up with. We do the standards, we follow all the CISA requirements, which are the government alerts that come out whenever an exposure is found. CISA puts out a bulletin, they email it to all of us who have subscribed to it, and we act on that bulletin as appropriate. We also have to keep up with all the manufacturers, because if equipment or software becomes exposed, we've got to be able to close that hole as quick as possible. So there's always software updates to be aware of for customers, especially in an ERP system where you're protecting financial information. You got to be really strong about security with that. We work closely with Homeland Security, the FBI, Secret Service, depending on which contracts our customer has, because each division within the government is responsible for a different group. And then it's just a lot of training. There's always CMMC training, there's always NIST training going on, and it's just constant, because if you don't keep up with it and they make a change, you end up behind the 8 ball trying to play catch up.
Right.
So we spend a lot of time in webinars, working with the auditing partners, because the auditors are the end result of this, right? If they don't say, yes, you have a 110 score, then nothing matters what you did.
Right.
So the goal is to be working with the auditors and to make sure we understand what the auditors are looking for. A lot of people end up in these assessments and they guessed at what some of those things were, or they looked at it from an only IT point of view. And a lot of these things for CMMC are not just IT based. They're procedure based, they're marking based, they're facility based. You have to have that overall view of how the business works, what the business requirements are, and how to keep that business constantly up to date and compliant so that they're not exposed.
Yeah, it's not something we can look at once a year, right?
No.
It's a constant.
I wish it was.
Right.
Make my job easier.
It's become a large part of what you do. Like I've said a few times, we've worked together for a lot of years, and I've seen different versions of your day-to-day workload, and I would say that this one doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. I'm confident I've picked the right partner, and CBTG has the right man at the helm for this, but
Well, we've got a good team underneath. Everybody, stays up to date. We constantly meet on this stuff. We have weekly meetings to discuss updates. Obviously, the team has to be involved. We don't have 2 customers. We have a lot of customers. So when a change happens, it can't just be one person. Your team has to understand how all this stuff works and what the requirements are, because an exposure comes out and you may have to jump at 60, 70 customers within a 12-hour period to get these things fixed, and not one guy's going to be doing that.
Right.
So we have to have a team. Some companies have one person that heads their security, some MSPs, and that person gets overloaded, especially in a situation like this.
crisis, yeah.
So we extend that to our team as well. So the team understands how all this works. So you're not relying on somebody to say, well, I'm just an IT engineer, let me go back to the security guy later and get you an answer. Our team will give you that answer.